Hello and welcome. I'm Joshua Barnes and you're watching NewsX World. You join us for the final moments before the conclave to decide the next Pope, the head of the Roman Catholic Church, starts. That will be shortly. We are currently seeing cardinals, 133 of them who are taking part in this papal conclave, taking their final oath. That conclave oath is vowing all to observe absolute and perpetual secrecy. Of course, this process is a secret process. The vote's behind closed doors, without any electronic interference, without any media, any political influence. And what we are seeing right now is that process of the cardinals from across around 70 countries swearing to secrecy during this process. Joining us as we see these final moments before the start of the papal conclave is Reverend Dr. Joy Kakanatu, CMI, a former president of the Dharmaram Vidya Kshestram, who's joining us from Trier in Germany. Thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Joy, for being here with us. Of course, these closing moments before the conclave begins. What's the significance of this oath, the vow that is being taken by the 133 cardinals, a swearing of secrecy over this process?
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to join you. Actually, conclave, as we all know, it's a very significant and important moment in the life of the Catholic Church. Not only of Catholic Church, but for the entire community of believers, those who believe in Jesus Christ and His gospel. Today morning, the main celebrant of the Holy Mass, in preparation for the conclave, in his homily he highlighted what would be the maybe the challenges and the prospects of the new Pope who would be elected and is ushering in. Then one point which attracted my attention is actually he was insistently saying the role of the new Pope is to foster bridges and communion. Communion among the Catholics on various relationships, Pope with the bishops, cardinals, and among bishops, and between various ritual churches. And also he was telling it this is not actually simply an inner dynamics, but a communion that should be having larger prospect of building bridges with the whole world. Actually, that may be the highlight of the 21st century's papacy. It should be something that would be fostering more and more communion. And the theme he was highlighting was actually from John's Gospel, Gospel 14, chapter 14. Love one another as I have loved you. Usually the first part is very easy for all of us to love one another. But the manner with which Jesus loved everybody would be the challenge. It's actually a love that is self-giving, going to the extent of even including Judas the traitor among the list of the 12 in washing the feet. It's not that easy love as we think. It's easy to love those who are with us, but sometimes we need to speak also of a love that goes beyond. That was maybe the focus of his homily. I think the new Pope would be having these challenges. We don't know from which part of the world the new Pope would be coming in. But at the same time, with the mass media, the visual, maybe the impact of anybody who would be elected. Right now, actually, you see the conclave till the last moment before closing the door, everything is very widely visible to everybody. So there is not much secrecy about many things. Actually, you cannot do anything in hiding. Once upon a time, it would have been impossible. Now, things are maybe very much observed by everybody. So you need to be accountable. You need to be accountable not only to the people those who belong to you, but even those who may criticize you, challenge you, you have to address all of them. So in that way, it's very challenging papacy. I'm right now in Germany, where actually it's very Catholic, very Christian in lifestyle, but there may be the aspect of the way the Christian faith is living, maybe understood very differently from the way we live in India. So things are very different in many parts of the world. So to be a pope, to be Catholic is not that easy. To include everybody in the project now. So
Yes.
he cannot be just for Europe, it cannot be just for Asia, he cannot just for Africa. A pope connecting all the continents together with actually a Christian vision may be very challenging, risky, but at the same time, that would be the role of the pope.
Yes, Reverend Joy, thank you ever so much. If you could stay with us, please. Also joining us is Savio Rodriguez, the founder and editor-in-chief of the Goa Chronicle, who is joining us from Goa. Savio, thank you for taking the time to speak with us this evening. We are, of course, looking at an extremely diverse set of cardinals from around 70 countries. We know 2/3 of the 133 need to be in agreement for the same candidate to become the Pope. Given the wars and the trade tariffs and the instability we're seeing currently globally, do you think this will have an influence on the vote? And do you think it will potentially extend this conclave because there is so much riding on this decision?
Well, we have to look at the conclave in two parts. One is the spiritual aspect, the aspect of faith, where millions of Catholics around the world are hoping that the power of the Holy Spirit inspires the cardinals to select the Holy Father that would lead the Catholic Church in what I see and what many Catholics see as a very conflicting times around the world. So that is a matter of faith. Then there is a matter of the institution. And like all institutions in the world, religious or non-religious, there's always going to be hierarchical structures, there are always going to be dogmatic structures, and there are always going to be some level of politics that goes on within those structures. And that is something that might also see a face as far as the election of the Pope is concerned. But having said that, what I do believe and what my heart tells me is that I believe that the Pope that will be selected by the prayers of millions of Catholics around the world will be somebody who would take forward Pope Francis's vision and the vision that Jesus left with his disciples several years ago. And that is the mission that Pope Francis had. So while you have the politics of the Catholic Church that will try and find its way to seep in, because for the last several years, Pope Francis ensured that the politics of the Catholic Church, that has been something that they have been allegedly involved in for a long time, he tried to clean up the system. And that cleaning up of the system was not really well accepted by many people. In fact, some sections of the leaders within the Catholic Church believe that Pope Francis was too honest for the role in which he was ordained for, and that's where the problem is even now. So I believe there is a lobby within the Catholic Church that wants to bring the grandeur, the business side of the institution back again to the forefront, while it still continues to have the faith, propagating. What Pope Francis did was to focus on the propagation of the faith and bring the church closer to the people, rather than the people come to the church. And that was something that was distinctively different. So I hope and I pray, and like me, there are many Catholics around the world who are praying for the Holy Father to be a leader, to lead the Catholics, the Church at this point of time, which are conflicting times in the world today. There are many temptations, there are many deviations from the Catholic faith and the Catholic teachings, the Catholic doctrine, and many a times the people of the Catholic faith are led astray because they do not have a good shepherd that leads the flock at the head. And Pope Francis was one of that, and I believe the power of the Holy Spirit and the prayers of many Catholics will be answered with a Pope that will lead this church in the modern times as it is right now.
Yes, Savio, absolutely. We are, of course, continuing to show you live visuals from inside the Sistine Chapel, where the oath, the solemn oath, the oath of secrecy, is being taken by all 133 cardinals. We'll bring you now to that.
Advet et ec sancta de Evangelia que manu mea tango.
Extra omnes.
We are now, of course, seeing the live shots of everybody leaving the Sistine Chapel. The only people who will be inside are those cardinals taking part in this vote to decide the next pope. In a short amount of time, we will see the doors to the Sistine Chapel within the Vatican closing just after everybody leaves. The procession of people walking out, of course, in contrast, the procession of the cardinals walking in from the Pauline Chapel took place a short while ago. There were then prayers and then the solemn oath which we have just seen being conducted by each and every of the 133 cardinals who were taking part in this conclave from across 70 countries, a truly diverse vote, which may take days. In history, it has taken weeks, months, and in one case, years to decide, but we expect within 2 to 3 days, the next Pope will be announced. To make you aware of how we will know, there will be around 4 votes taking place each day. The ballots from each vote will be burnt. If there is black smoke, then that signals that no Pope has been voted for and no Pope has received the required 2/3 vote. If there is white smoke, that means that a Pope has been chosen. We look through the doors now into the Sistine Chapel. You can see red on either side. These are the cardinals, the 133 cardinals, who over the next days will be deliberating and deciding on who Pope Francis's replacement will be. And there we have it. The Sistine Chapel doors have been shut. They will remain closed now until that white smoke comes from the chimney in the Vatican with the bells ringing. Of course, the process is a private one. No media, no political influence, no technological influence. Move on now, and India has struck Pakistan, and this time deep inside Pakistani territory, following the cowardly terror attack in Pahalgam the Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor, targeting terrorist infrastructure across the border with surgical precision. According to a government statement, 9 high-value targets have been neutralised, 4 inside Pakistan and 5 in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally briefed President Draupadi Murmu about these strikes. Earlier in the day, he also convened a high-level cabinet meeting followed by closed-door discussions with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Home Minister Amit Shah. In a related development, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also lauded the armed forces for precisely striking the terrorists within Pakistan and POK. Let's listen in to India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh.
हमने जो लक्ष्य तय किए थे उन्हें ठीक समय तय योजना के अनुसार सटीकता से उन्होंने ध्वस्त किया है और किसी भी नागरिक ठिकाने सिविलियन पॉपुलेशन को जरा भी प्रभावित न होने देने की संवेदनशीलता भी हमारी सेना ने दिखाई।
Operation Sindoor involved the deployment of air, naval and land-based assets, with India launching long-range, high-precision weapons. Following the strikes, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif rushed to chair an emergency National Security Council meeting. Additionally, Pakistan's Defence Minister Khawaja Asif is now calling for de-escalation, saying Pakistan would wrap up hostilities if India backs down. Well, in the wake of Operation Sindoor, Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held telephone conversations with his counterparts from Spain, France, Germany and Qatar. During these discussions, he appraised them of India's calibrated response to the cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan. The foreign ministers expressed solidarity with India and unequivocally condemned the dastardly April 22nd Pahalgam attack that claimed the lives of 26 innocent civilians. Well, international leaders have reacted to India's Operation Sindoor, which involved targeted air and missile strikes on terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. France and Germany expressed deep concern over the escalating tensions, with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz urging restraint. The Taliban-led government in Afghanistan also warned that further escalation would destabilise the region, calling for dialogue over confrontation. In the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer informed Parliament that Britain is engaging with both sides and pressing for calm. The European Union echoed the same sentiment, urging immediate restraint and supporting a peaceful, lasting resolution. China's foreign ministry called for both nations to prioritise peace and avoid actions that could worsen the situation. Meanwhile, Israel's ambassador to India, Reuven Azar, voiced strong support for India's right to self-defence. From Washington, US President Donald Trump expressed hope the tensions would end quickly, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio urged both India and Pakistan to pursue a peaceful resolution and said the situation is being closely monitored by the United States. Besides all these countries, other nations like Russia, Qatar, the UAE, Iran, Japan and Turkey also urged calm following the tensions. Amid these rising tensions between India and Pakistan in the wake of Operation Sindoor, launched in response to the deadly Pahalgam terror attack of the 22nd of April, mock drill exercises are being conducted across several parts of India today. Codenamed Operation Abbas, the nationwide drills are part of a broader civil defence strategy and are being carried out in 244 districts across India, including in major urban centres like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad and Chandigarh. These districts have been identified as civil defence zones based on threat perception. The mock exercises simulate a range of hostile scenarios, including incoming air raids with siren alerts and blackout protocols, urban fire incidents, coordinated search and rescue efforts, casualty evacuation, emergency hospital setups, and the movement of civilians to demilitarised zones and underground bunkers. Well, joining us to discuss the ongoing tensions and the strikes that we saw on Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir is Adrian Calamel, a terrorism scholar, joining us from New York. Well, Adrian, thank you ever so much for being here. Let's first look at these attacks based on 9 terrorist hubs, according to the Indian government. How significant is it that these strikes reportedly only targeted terrorist infrastructure?
Well, thank you for having me. And this was, in my estimation, a fantastic operation. Exactly what you want to do. You want to hit the terrorist infrastructure. India always knew where those terror camps were. There have been terrorist attacks in the past where India's probably wanted to respond in more force and hit these camps because they are well known, and they have been held back by other countries, in particular the United States. So what they do by hitting these camps, and then if you look at the Pakistani response, it's putting Pakistan and the Pakistani state on a fence saying, do you want that plausible deniability out there? Because if you come and rush to the defense of these terrorist camps, there goes your plausible deniability, even though we all know that they're getting orders from inside ISI and elements of the Pakistani government. So they still want to maintain that ruse on the international scale that they're disconnected from these groups. So it's significant that they hit these and that they hit the infrastructure, and it wasn't just a one-off. That they went in and they not only hit infrastructure, but they also took out some high-value targets as well.
Yes, Adrian, we've seen world leaders calling for de-escalation. Given earlier comments from Pakistan, is that something you think is likely, given the ramifications not just for the region, but also the world, given the current instability we're seeing on multiple fronts?
Well, it's interesting. I heard it on your lead up coming in, and you listened to the Pakistani side, and it's basically, there's a little bit of bravado there saying India needs to back down and stuff, back down. It sounds like Pakistan is saying, we got the message, let's hold it off right here. And as far as the international community, from certain nations, it's basically a copy and paste. This is what you expect. You want, diplomatic solution, slow down, and a de-escalation, and all these different things. That's to speak. But India's maneuver right here, what they did in this operation, that's the de-escalatory move. That's how you de-escalate things. That's how you de-escalate the terrorist threat. That's how you de-escalate the Pakistan use of their proxies as a weapon against India and in other areas. So I don't think it's going to go much farther. It depends if India has another, let's say, another target package. Let's say this is the first round. They hit these high-value targets, some camps. There are other camps out there. Do they go in for another round and hit these and try and hit some other high-value targets? So I don't think there's going to be a large response from the Pakistani part. They're kind of in a pickle. Because once again, they don't want to show that they're outright in the terrorist camp with these groups, that they're a state sponsor of terror. And they know that in a conventional type of military confrontation with India, they're going to lose badly. Asymmetrical terrorism is their game way to go for them, and that's been punched in the nose, so to speak. So I think Pakistan got the message. So in the West, there's always I think people just blow things out of proportion and talk about the nuclear aspect. We have nuclear armed countries, but people have to understand that they are living next to each other, Pakistan and India, and really, you look at the mutually assured destruction paradigm that held true during the Cold War. It is relatively in place when you look at Pakistan with this current Pakistani government. Now, if it becomes taken over by a more radical element, then you may lose that mutually assured destruction. I think that's why people are worried about the Islamic Republic of Iran's nuclear program. But neither country wants to use nuclear weapons, and India Pakistan probably, they overstepped, and they probably should have known that this time India was going to respond forcefully. They couldn't get away with this. And especially, they didn't have the United States holding them back with a presence in Afghanistan, saying, don't hit them because we think the Pakistanis are a benevolent and benign actor in the region, and really a cutout to talk and speak with the bad actors, to mediate with the Taliban in Afghanistan, when really they're playing both sides. Well, they're playing on the other side.
Adrian Kalamal, as always, thank you ever so much for joining us. Of course, any developments that we get in the ongoing tensions between India and Pakistan, we will bring those all to you. But that is all that we have time for. We'll continue to bring you that and more of the latest breaking news from across the world.